I'm good. I love the purple background.
Oh, thanks. It's actually blue, but it appears purple for some reason.
All right, so let's dive right into it. So how long have you been in real estate now?
5 months and almost six years in March. So a little over 5 months. I'm sorry, 5 years. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
five years. Okay, yeah, I knew that you weren't a rookie.
Yeah, no. March I make 6 years, so a little over 5 years is what I mean. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay. So what made you get into real estate?
Oh man, housing. It's it was it was something that was kind of an issue in my childhood growing up. So it was something that was just always important to me to understand, and especially coming up with all of the struggles our family had.
Mhm.
I didn't understand. So I was kind of just in the mindset of like I need to learn this. And then once learning it, I kind of just got into the I was like, yeah, this is it. This is what I like. I like doing this. So it was pretty much just coming up and understanding that like shelter was important. So like although it is, investments and assets for a lot of people, it's shelter for a bigger amount of people to me. So
Yeah, that's why I get into it too, because it's a lot easier to own your own home when you're in the game, and it's really hard for most people to own a home now. So if when you get your foot in the game, it gets easier. Just to be clear, you're also with Home Smart, just like myself.
yes.
You're also under Rich,
I'm in
right?
Melville.
Just for the viewers at home. So, Jazz, tell us, is Jazz okay?
That's
Or
fine.
the
Yes.
Jazz is okay? Okay, I want to double check. Tell us about your very first year.
Oh man, my first year, 2019. So it was right before the pandemic hit. It was actually a good year, I can't lie. Like I met so many people because this was when I started with Opcity. It was like a referral
Mhm.
network. So I was getting a whole bunch of leads coming in, meeting a whole amount of people, different kinds, looking at mobile homes, condos. There was actually that was the year I did my first condo and mobile home sale. So it was very different compared to what I did now. And I
Mhm.
felt like those were a little bit more difficult then
Right.
to start off with. So the first year was a lot of learning, a lot of meeting new people, a lot of just networking and trying to get what I'm doing and understand like being actually in the field rather than just studying the books and doing all that.
Right.
So it was challenging because I was kind of walking around like hoping everything worked out and doing what I can to make sure I got deals closed and making sure that I got people into some houses or selling houses. Um, but it wasn't like I did a lot of deals, but I connected with way more people. So it was pretty much a lot of learning, a lot of lessons. Definitely, it was a struggle.
Yes, the first year is always a lot of learning. And I heard that during COVID, houses were flying.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. They were. It was kind of backwards. You would
See,
have thought.
that's one of my biggest regrets. I wish I was in it because I wasn't here back then, and that's one of my biggest regrets because I heard everyone was basically selling and moving to Florida, so houses were
Oh yeah.
flying, which that's a wave that I'm mad that I missed. So Jazz, walk us through a normal day in your shoes. What time do you wake up? Coffee or tea? Walk us through a normal day.
Okay, I try to be up by at least 8:30, and I know that sounds crazy, but I'm pretty much laying in bed for from 6 to 7. So I get out of the bed around 8:30.
How to
Have
process?
coffee. Have to have the coffee.
What
Without it,
kind of coffee? French vanilla, regular, black?
cafe bustelo. So it's like an espresso,
That's
and then
strong.
oh yeah, and then some caramel. You gotta have the
Oh
caramel.
man.
Yeah,
Caramel, anything. Caramel is good to anything.
I know. I love it. I'm obsessed with it. So I have my coffee, and then I get on the computer right away, which is most people don't do, but I don't
Computer
mind.
before phone. Phone is first, right?
Well, I yeah, honestly, it's all three because I have my phone and I'm on the computer at the same time. So yeah, pretty much the same at the exact same time. I'm on the computer, I'm on the phone, texting or responding back to emails for the most part, but a lot of just scrolling online on social media on my phone and on the computer. I'm pretty much doing. I'm on the MLS, looking at what's sent overnight to some clients that I'm working with, seeing what info I can get on it if they are interested. Pretty
Mhm.
much doing a bunch of computer stuff for like at least 2 or 3 hours in the morning. So all the way up until around 12. Then I'll pretty much get off of the laptop and I'm just relaxing, waiting for either people to respond back to some emails, returning calls or
Right.
text messages. And if I have a showing or if I have any type of viewings to set up, that's pretty much what I'm doing most of the day, or calling agents, setting those up for the weekend. It's a lot of computer work, to be honest.
In the morning, yeah, my schedule is similar. I do like all of that first thing I wake up for a few hours. It's very similar to mine. So let's see. What do you think about teams? Like I'm on the Costco team. What do you think about teams? Do you think teams are a good idea?
For those who it will work for, I think that it's tricky. Because some people, like for me, when I first started, I was independent. I wasn't on a team. So
Hmm.
I was by myself, figuring everything out. And then during my second year, I got onto a team, and I felt like, obviously, you have more support, way more support. You have people to go to when you need assistance or just have questions to ask. So I felt like if in the beginning you're starting off, it is probably best to start with a team so you have that support, because
Yeah,
there's going to be questions to ask that you don't know how to answer, or
yeah.
you just don't know how to handle certain situations. So it just depends on the person, but I would say start with a team if you can.
Yeah, I strongly agree. I'm on a team, and it is my first year, and they are very, very helpful. They help bring in leads, and yeah, it must have been tough without a team because you said you got your leads from Op City. Is Op City the same today? I wouldn't know.
No, I don't even use it anymore.
What's the
It,
difference between now and before? Is it more expensive?
well, it's a referral that you pay at closing. So until the lead
Oh,
closes is when you pay them the referral fee, but it's the leads that come in that really aren't the highest quality. And for the most part, what I was really getting was a lot of senior communities, a lot of mobile homes on there. I felt like it
mm,
gravitated towards a lot of the senior ages, which is
right.
not an issue, but there's also not a lot of leads coming in on that alone. You know what I mean? So um, a few of them will have condos that they're looking into, some of them residential, but I got a lot of mobile homes. I got a lot of condos or like co-op communities. And it just wasn't a lot like in all. It was just pretty much that was really it. And then now I feel like it doesn't even go off anymore. I don't get an alert. Not a lot of people are looking on, at least on what they're connected to. And I think they're on realtor.com for
Yeah, I
options.
use Realtor, even though it's kind of expensive.
Yeah. And so I don't know what the deal is with realtor.com, like how they are different from Opcity, because it is under the same site, but they weren't really sending a whole lot of good high quality leads on there.
Well, Realtor.com, you pay ahead of time. You don't pay after closing, and it's kind of
Mhm.
expensive. It's per zip code. So who do you use nowadays for leads?
Well, I was using Ojo because I'm on a team now and we're using Ojo. We don't
Uh,
use that anymore because it was pretty much doing the same thing Opcity was doing. It wasn't really giving that much great leads. People who weren't serious or they weren't screening them properly. So right now I do my social media. That's how I get my leads right now. Referrals if I have any. That's pretty much how I'm getting 100% of my leads.
have you ever gotten one through like Instagram and Facebook?
Yes, more
Nice.
on Facebook than I do on Instagram, but pretty much, yeah, those two alone. They're the ones that I had someone call me like 2 days ago and said, "Oh, I found you on Instagram. I don't know how." She's like, "Yeah, I was searching, for a real estate agent on Long Island, and you came up." So I was like, "Okay, cool, nice, awesome."
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, however they found you, that's amazing. Yeah, I was speaking to Dan Benino the other day, and he was saying that social media is like is key.
For sure.
He was saying that when I first met him as well. So yeah, I definitely think that social media can have a big impact on the
Yeah,
business. I know you're on Long Island. Where are you located though?
I'm on the East End, so I'm like by Ronkonkoma.
Oh, you're very far.
Where are you?
I'm in Floral Park. I'm on the other end, but I grew up in
Oh,
Bayshore, so I know Long Island pretty well, and I'm an Uber driver,
yeah.
so I'm all over the place.
Oh,
Jeff,
okay.
what is your favorite thing about being a realtor?
Having the opportunity to meet different people from all different types of walks of life. I've had so many amazing conversations with people that I honestly probably would have never crossed paths with if I wasn't in this field. So I can say that if it wasn't for being a real estate agent, I would not have some knowledge on certain things, like when it comes to, certain communities, certain cultures. I've learned so much just from meeting new people. And if it wasn't for that, I would be in my home all day, not talking to nobody.
Yeah, it's interesting because whenever I ask people this question, that they often give like an answer that has to do with like social interactions. Like
Hmm.
I love helping people, I love meeting people. So far, no one has said money yet, and you could be honest. I won't judge you, but so far, everyone has said something along the lines of like helping people or meeting people. Which
Yeah.
so just for the viewers at home, if you're not a people person, you might not want to get into the business. It's very
Or
peoply. So Jazz, what is your least favorite thing about being a realtor?
people, and that might sound crazy, but
Best and worst part at the same time?
it's weird. But I feel that a lot of other people get involved and they can ruin someone's goals. I've had that happen actually a lot in the past 2 years, 2023, and I'll say this year. A lot of the people I were connecting with, they had these goals. They were like, "Yeah, I want to get a house." They were planning, they were preparing, and then someone else came into their mind or their thoughts and kind of pushed them away from what their goal was initially. And
Hmm.
well, that's fine. You can get your information from other people for sure, but it shouldn't make you make a complete decision without thinking and seeing if you are, fitting whatever their accusations are. Like it doesn't, the real estate is different for everybody. It could be easy for one person and be very difficult for the next person. So to pass on your experience to someone else and then take that and run with it, you might miss out on an opportunity that you probably might not ever get, or it might be a while till you get again. So people can really definitely get in the way and make it more of a difficult process for sure.
Yeah, because a lot of people get nervous. That like there's so many things. There's so many things for the new people. There's so many things that can stop a person in between when they say they're ready to buy and closing. There's so many things. People get nervous. People get cold feet. And I'm sure this happened to you, but I'm sure that some people went with other agents halfway through.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
all the time.
And how do we avoid that as agents?
You really don't specifically do something. I mean, it's really just a trust situation that you're dealing with, and if they don't trust you, you can't force someone to trust you.
Yeah.
And sometimes that is what it is. Like I've had people say, like, it's very nerve-wracking. It's a big purchase, 100%. But if they don't feel comfortable with you, they're gonna find every excuse to kind of go elsewhere, make other plans. So
Yeah, they have to know, like, and trust you, which can, it takes people skills and it takes time,
oh yeah,
and even then they can know, like, and trust you and still get nervous, and like you said, it's a big purchase, especially for first time home buyers. People get really nervous, and
yeah.
you got to deal with that. Jazz, do you do commercial real estate as well?
No, just residential. Just
How come you
residential.
never went the commercial route?
I thought about it for sure. I'd still think about it, to be honest. But I feel like, truthfully, I still need to hit certain levels on the residential side for me personally before I feel like I'd be comfortable enough to go that route. Because I hear it's a completely different thing, like compared to residential, and I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. It's a bigger deal. So eventually, that isn't the goal. That's a goal, but not right now. Definitely not.
Yeah, it's a goal for me as well. I heard it's a lot more competitive, and I also heard it's a lot more political. It's a lot more like who
Oh
you
yeah,
know. Jazz, do you have a CRM?
I do.
Who do you use?
I use Podio. It's just something that I've used in the past with a previous job that I was working, and I had experience with it. So I was like, oh, I was like exploring it, and saw that it pretty much did everything that I needed. So that's pretty much what I use. But most people probably wouldn't even say that. They would go for something else.
Is that a free one or
It's free, but
nice?
you
Yeah.
have the opportunity to kind of upgrade it and go to a higher plan.
Right. Yeah. I know there are a lot of free ones. I don't think I ever heard that one yet, so thanks for
Hmm.
that. So you did answer this to a certain extent, but let's elaborate a little bit. How
Okay.
has the real estate market changed since you first started?
Well, aside from the interest rates, the inventory. When I first started, there was so many properties available that were in good condition and ready for people to purchase. I do feel like a lot of the inventory now, you have to put in a lot of money to repair it or upgrade it or completely just knock it down and build it back up again. And I don't know what it is. Maybe everybody snatched up all the good ones, or most homeowners now don't have the ability to upgrade their home as they would, so the quality isn't all that. But I can say the inventory is a little
Low.
little low, and it's a little, the quality could be better. for sure.
Yeah, it's a seller's market right now. And so when you first started, what was the interest rates looking like?
At that time, it was pretty much where it is now. It was
Hmm.
like mid sixes. It was between yeah, it was literally mid six. It wasn't, yeah, it didn't go any lower than that because as soon as the pandemic hit, that's when it dropped. And it was hitting around like the threes. I had a property I sold around 2.5% for their interest rate.
Wow.
So yeah, it completely dropped like almost by a whole 3 points. It was around six and a half. Yeah.
Yeah, but even though the interest rates were the same, that the houses are like what, like 20, 30% more. Do
And
you
then
think home prices will drop anytime soon?
no, for Long Island. That's my personal opinion. Why would it?
Right. Yeah, I know. I agree. I mean, everyone says the same thing, which is no. And 2008 was a anomaly, but yeah, I mean, it's really sad for people trying to buy nowadays. So what do you think? Do you think people today should buy or rent?
I'm gonna always say buy. I'm gonna always say buy if you can, because renting, yeah, it gives you the flexibility. You can move whenever. You're not locked in for 30 years or so, but that price is gonna continue to go up, and you're only gonna get the same type of apartment. It's not like you're getting a bigger apartment. You're just getting a higher, rent price. It's not going to be good for you in the long run anyway. So if you can buy, why not do it now? Because if it's the same amount as a mortgage payment, one you're building equity, the other you're not. So why wouldn't you go for the one that you get the biggest benefit from? You know,
Yes, I agree. It's much better to have equity than to pay your landlord's mortgage. Some people have different views, though. Some people say, like, if you rent, then if the boiler breaks, it's not on you, it's on the landlord. But no, I do agree that buying is better because it's a lot more financially intelligent. And,
for
you
sure.
want to have equity, house, like you said, houses go up. So it just makes a lot more sense if you can afford it. And
Right.
if you can't, just keep grinding, man. Just keep grinding and keep saving and keep
Yeah,
investing. Jazz, should new agents seek a trainer?
for sure. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
But what you said when you first started, did you have a trainer?
Not specifically. No, I had Rich, and that's pretty much who I went to if I had anything. But I didn't ask a lot of questions. If you ask Rich, I probably never talked to him. I've asked him like a handful of questions because I personally am someone I'm going to find the answer myself before I go to someone for
Right.
help. It's just who I am. So I was always good for just finding the answer, or I would ask other agents, especially at that time when I first started, and I'm talking to a listing agent, and we got something in the works. I would literally ask them like, "How did you feel about my offer?" Or like literally the way it was presented in the email. And they would give me feedback, or I would ask them, like, okay, well, why didn't you go with my client's offer? What would you have suggested that probably would have made them stand out compared to who you accepted? And those little bit of information just kind of helps you here and there in the future and stuff. So if you need a trainer, get a trainer for sure. But if you feel like you don't need it, don't put the pressure on yourself to get it, because some of us work different. You might do good without it. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, first year must have been tough without any trainer, or you also said no team. So you were really, really independent. And, like you said, you did have Rich, but he's busy. And,
Yeah,
it's a broker is not necessarily the same as a team.
for sure.
So yeah, that must have been tough for you. But I strongly suggest getting either a mentor or a team in your
For sure.
first year. It really helps a lot. Let me see. Approximately how much per month do you put into the business?
As far as money, oh,
As far as like, let's say leads or yeah.
it varies month to month. I'm gonna be honest, it just depends on the month that I'm the most motivated. If I'm feeling motivated and I want to put more into it, time, money, effort, all of that, I'm gonna do it if it's necessary. If I feel like I'm a little too busy, I might not. You know, like I go on and off with posting ads on Facebook and Instagram. Sometimes I'll just stop the ad because I just don't feel like it. It really just depends. I would say on average, I try to stay under $500. And that sounds crazy because it's not easy, but I'm going to cheat my way out of it and DIY my way out of everything I possibly can. Because the first year, I can't say I was spending a lot more money on things that probably weren't necessary. Like signing up with certain companies that promise to give you leads off of Facebook ads. I eventually just found out how to do Facebook ads myself, so I don't got to pay someone to do it.
Right,
You
right.
know what I mean?
They
Like,
tried to
so,
get me too. I turned them down.
oh my God, they're everywhere, and there's so many different kinds of companies. So, and they all do the same thing. I learned how to do it myself, and now I know how to work Facebook ads if I need it. So I try to keep my budget low because it gets costly. It gets very costly.
Yeah, it does get very costly, but for you do have to spend money to make money. I
Oh,
remember when I was talking to one of those guys, the Facebook people,
mm-hmm.
I asked him very, very genuinely. I wasn't being sarcastic. I was like, but can I just put the money into Facebook myself? And he's like, yeah, you could. And he kind of stuttered. And, I don't suggest any of those. You could put the money into Facebook yourself, but under 500 a month is not bad. There are many, many different ways that you can spend money. So, for example, have you ever done EDDM?
No, but I okay. So I did sign up for this company that gives a great deal, in my opinion. They'll do like no more than 350 to send out some mailers for you. But I honestly never got around to uploading my list and designing the postcard. But I do plan on doing that. I feel like it would be a good investment. Um, but that's more money that I don't know if I'm willing to spend. I don't know. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, it is a good investment. People have closed that way. So for the people at home, EDDM, I forget what it stands for, but it's basically when you pay the post office to deliver your pamphlets or whatever you want to deliver. When I did it with three different zip codes, all in Nassau, and it came out to about 20 cents per pamphlet per house. Um, no nobody called yet, but you never know one day. And you got to keep doing it over and over again.
Yeah,
And I also would suggest hitting the same zip codes over and over
yeah,
again, as opposed to different zip.
switching around for sure.
Yeah, yeah. That's I think, in my opinion, that's one of the best pieces of advice I got from Ken, actually. Um, Jazz, what do you say to people who say, "What? Why do I need to hire an agent? I can buy myself. I can sell myself." What do you have to say to those people?
Well, everybody could do everything themselves for sure. But who's going to be the one to support you when you don't know?
Mm,
Or who are you going to go to when you are faced with a situation where you don't know how to go about it? And you want to make sure that you go about it right so that you don't miss out on an opportunity.
mhm.
And you can go to Google, you can go to Chat GPT, but they're going to give you a generic response that's
Yep,
not specific to your state or wherever
yep,
you're purchasing in.
yep.
It might just give you a conflicting information in general, or you're just getting someone's opinion with no experience. So instead of getting, the runaround on an information, why not just hire an agent that you can call, text, email, and they can answer whatever question and also explain to you what it is that they're doing? Because then maybe you can do it next time by yourself without an agent. It's one thing to hire an agent who's just going to do everything for you, but also an agent who's going to educate you in the process so that you know going forward or you know what you're doing and understand what you're doing.
Yeah, that's a great point. Buying and selling is way more complicated than people realize. Agents do have access to MLS, and we have the information and the knowledge that a lot of people might not have. So I strongly suggest getting an agent. It's worth a few bucks, because the thing is, if you don't use an agent, you might not get the best price, which costs money. So
Yep.
it's either way, you're kind of spending money. Jazz, do you view other realtors as competition?
No, it shouldn't be. We're working together. We should be. Um, but there is competition out there. I don't know why there is. I don't know who started the competition, but I don't even know you. Sometimes agents are just like that, and I think it's a personal thing. That's their issue that they have to fix. But there's going to be competition, and you just have to kind of compete, and that's probably the best way to do it. Because if you don't, then you're gonna end up, probably on the sidelines more and not really getting the business. Because there's agents out there fighting for some business, and they're gonna do whatever they have to do to get it.
Yes, there are definitely agents who will take clients under the rug, under your feet from you. Yeah, I mean, I think that it is healthy to, not necessarily look at other realtors as competition. But I said this like in two or three other podcasts, always be courteous, always be nice.
For sure.
Sometimes I feel like when I meet listing agents, for example, when I'm working with a client, sometimes I just feel like that, like, the
Tension.
defensiveness from
Yeah.
other agents. And I always think in my head that has to affect the business. Relax, like I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not here And I just feel sometimes I feel that defensiveness, and it's always like it's never a good thing for anyone because
No,
we could work together one day. You never know.
really.
So yeah, I definitely agree. Um, do you prefer to work with buyers or sellers?
Buyers.
Oh, really? Why is
Quick.
that?
As much as they are the most difficult because it's a bigger process, I can say, because you're dealing with way more than just showing them houses, but you do more of the connecting. Not saying that a listing agent does anything less than a buyer's agent, but you are holding everything together. You're bringing the buyer, you're making sure the buyer has their appraisal set, that they're getting contracts signed, and deposits put down. The listing agent aren't making, they're not making that call to make sure those things are done.
Mhm.
Sometimes I've had one deal, I have had two deals where the listing agent was MIA as soon as we got the contract signed.
Wow.
But making sure that the loan officer is here and actively presently working. That's the buyer's agent. That we are the ones that we are the glue. And I like that feeling of being the important one because I'll say it: the listing agent is nothing without a buyer's agent. Yeah, you can go and get the buyer yourself, but it's not the same. That's a customer. It's not really your client.
That's interesting. I think you're the only person who said they'd rather work with a buyer because what I was first told when I first started by my trainer is that it's not necessarily more money, but being a seller's agent is just significantly less work because being a buyer's agent, it's a lot more running around
Oh yeah,
than a seller's agent.
you're going crazy. you're The amount of miles I've put on my car when I do my taxes. Sometimes I'm like, I did that. I drove all those miles. That's crazy. But like, yeah, you are making it happen. I'm the road runner, is what I call it. If it wasn't for the buyer's agent, I feel like we're the most important to the transaction, aside from the buyer, obviously. But as far as the professionals, we're making sure things are getting done. The listing agent isn't doing it. The inspector, the loan officer, the attorneys, they're doing what they have to do. We're making sure everything is being done.
You're coordinating everything.
Exactly. And I like that. I like having the responsibility like it falls on me. It might be stressful for some, but it's work and I like my work. I like the work.
I guess you're one of those people who are like motivated by stress. You know what I mean?
I do work a little harder when I'm under the under the pressure.
Yes, yes, yes. So that's very interesting. I wasn't expecting that response. So how do you think the NAR lawsuit settlement will affect the realtors and buyers?
I think it will positively affect um the realtors. Um the buyers too, because I think, the way things were going before, especially before the buyer agent agreement, making sure everything is transparent from the beginning. A lot of agents weren't practicing that. I wasn't. We weren't really going through. I wasn't going through all of that in the beginning because most of the buyers that you're connecting with are on these apps and they don't want to sit down with you and talk and consult. You kind of get that information along the way, which is not the way to do it, by the way. But it sometimes does happen because you're connecting with them through Zillow or you're connecting with them through some type of lead source, and they are like, well, I just want to see the house. You're like, okay, can you come to the office and sit and let's talk and let's. That's not happening, and now I feel like because that's in place, there's no miscommunication. Everything is pretty much clear in front from the beginning, and
Transparent.
I wish that I practiced that from the beginning rather than not. So I can say it'll positively affect both of us, agents and buyers, on both ends.
I'm sure that that even feels good for me to hear because a lot of people right now are nervous and anxious, and a lot of people are saying that this is screwing the realtors, and I've even heard that some realtors are leaving the business. So I'm definitely it definitely makes me feel better. I'm sure a lot of people feel better to hear that, because most people have a negative view on this whole change, and it seems like your view is more optimistic, which is kind of a breath of fresh air. Um, Jazz, what do you think about cold calling? Some people say it isn't effective. Some people say it's annoying. What do you think about cold calling?
Hate it. Never doing it. Would it, don't you pay me $1 million? I'm not doing it. You know why? Because I don't like when my phone rings and it's someone that I don't know.
Yeah, I've always hated being that person myself, but people do close.
Oh, for sure, and that's fine for them, but it doesn't work for everybody. And the majority of those agents are also harassing some people. I've seen so many Reddit posts or posts on, like, online somewhere, and people hate it. No one wants to be bombarded with phone calls, and it may work, but you're pretty much pushing them to answer your call. You're calling them every week, or you're texting them every other day. And that's fine if it works for you, but I'm not the one to do that, because I don't feel like I have to push you to work with me. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you want to work with me after some conversation and you feel comfortable, let's do it. But I'm not going to keep, calling you every other day and every other week saying, hey, you ready yet? Hey, you ready yet? Or acting like I care. Like, hey, how's the kids? Or, some people say that. They're like, yeah, engage with them. Show them, you're paying attention. How's Timmy with his soccer game, his tournaments? You're faking it. It's not real. It's not genuine. Unless you are being genuine, that's fine. But there's a lot of people who aren't. And it puts a bad name on the cold calling in general. And some people just do not like it. I'm not going to be the one to do it for sure. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, so let's talk about this for a little because okay, so I'll speak a little bit about myself. So
Okay.
I have always, since I was a kid, I've always hated that pushy salesman. I've always hated like pushy salesmen. And that I feel like that's maybe kind of a weakness now for me today because sometimes like I'm like you, like you seem like a very, very courteous and nice person. And sometimes I feel like it might even affect the business in a way because when you cold call, you're supposed to probe, you're supposed to kind of push, like you said, and you're supposed to kind of be annoying. And there's a part of me that sometimes feels like the fact that I'm not annoying is somewhat of a
I
weakness.
agree. I agree. I I've had moments where I thought, like, okay, maybe I'm thinking about it wrong or going about it the wrong way. But I'm just genuinely not comfortable being that person, because I was that person. For example, the people who are on Facebook trying to get me to sign up with their company to do ads. And when they've calling me every week, like, hey, I know we discussed the pricing, but are you ready to start yet? And it's like, I'll let you know when I'm ready. And it's like the fact that I have to keep telling you that, it makes me already uncomfortable. I don't want to be that person putting someone in that same
Right,
position.
right.
If I'm gonna genuinely call you and ask about Timmy's tournament, it's gonna be genuine. I'm not gonna mention anything real estate related,
Mm,
and that's just what you do on connecting. It could be a soft call. It doesn't have to be a cold call, but a cold call is a little different. It's like, hey, every week, every month. Some people say they are calling them for almost 2 years before they can get a deal, and that's fine if it works for you. But I don't have it to be calling someone ww doesn't want to take my call.
you're too nice of a person. So
No.
what exactly is a soft call? Define soft call.
Well, it's not like something everyone calls it, but I call it a soft call when you connected, because you reached out to me and you inquire on something. So I know that I'm not just, coming at you with, hey, I saw you inquire on this. You wanted the business or the service or whatever you're looking for, and I saw it. So we're connecting on a soft tone. You tell me what you want, and I tell you what I can do for you. And if we align, we work together. We can go forward from there. But to just call a stranger just from a number you got off of online or somewhere, and they don't know you're calling, they don't know why you're calling, they had no intentions of doing any real estate transactions, and you're kind of just cold calling them. I feel like those are where it separates. Cold is just like literally straight. I'm bad with my terms, but yeah.
Cold calling, you're being a little cold.
A little cold, a little bit.
Yeah, so it's very interesting, and maybe I need to probe more, but I do yeah, relate to you in the sense that I just hate being that like annoying person because there's even a company right now that's been cold calling me a lot, and like they call from different numbers, so I can't
Yeah,
even do anything about it. So I
right.
I, I understand what you're saying. How about door knocking? Do you like door knocking?
No.
Why don't you like door
You are
knocking?
talking to a very modern human right now. I'm gonna do everything digital if I can
Mhm,
possibly do it. Like,
mhm.
I just do not like knocking on. I don't like confrontation, and people are confrontational. I have shown houses out in Nassau. This was maybe my second year. And I'm standing in the front waiting for a client, and I've been questioned why I'm standing there, or questioned why I'm walking up and down the block with my clients, or questioned and just questioned. And it's like, it's already uncomfortable to be in an area I'm pretty much not too familiar with. And
Yeah,
I'm waiting on a complete stranger to meet me at a house.
yeah.
So, and then having to be confronted, like, it just, strangers don't always give me the best feeling. And to knock on someone's door, You ain't getting me to do it. I'm sorry, I can't.
Yeah, you
Or
can't get you come across as maybe a little bit introverted.
oh, I'm introverted. And I'm queen introvert for
Yeah.
sure.
Which and that's the thing about real estate. Like it when if you're an introvert, you maybe sort of have a slight disadvantage to a certain extent
Oh
because it does require a lot of, social interactions and,
yeah,
and especially if you're a woman, like you don't want to go door knocking in the nighttime by yourself. It's dangerous.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
So,
And some people will say like, get a door knock buddy, and that's fine. But I still gotta knock on the door. I don't want to knock on the door.
no, again, I can relate. Like I went once, and the person I went with was great, Maria. She was great, but I'm not a huge fan, especially in the wintertime. I'm not, I'm not trying to walk in the 20 degrees. Did you ever think about opening up your own brokerage?
Oh, for sure. Still in the back of my mind, but it's all the way in the back down the hall. Like it's not. I'm not ready for that yet. Again, I feel like me personally, I know what goals I want to hit as a real estate agent, and I'm not there yet. And when I feel confident that like I have the ability to train someone else fully and be their support, then I'd probably go down that route. But I'm not there yet. We'll see
Same.
though.
Plus, it takes a lot of capital because you got to get your own office, right? It takes a lot of overhead.
Oh,
So, but yeah, I mean, at least you have the time because I know to be a broker, you have to be at least 2 years into the business, and I'm
yeah.
assuming that you have the points, right?
Yes.
So at least you have all that covered, which is great.
Right.
But it is a huge commitment. I definitely understand. Jazz, what is your long-term plan?
As far as being a real estate agent,
Yeah, yeah.
long term plan is to hit all those goals. I want to be able to successfully close, and this is dramatic, but like literally every deal I can have in my hands. That's my goal. I want to be able to confidently be able to run all types of transactions. There's some transactions I've never experienced yet,
Mhm.
like bank sales and all that. Haven't even touched that, barely touched it. So, like, once I get all of those little milestones done, I feel like that's my goal. It's just I want to get there. That's really just what it is. I just want to be able to understand everything because there's still so much I'm still learning, even 5 years in.
Yeah, I can already tell. I was already, even when I just stepped in when I was brand new, I already could tell that real estate was the type of business where you just never stop learning because things are constantly changing. There's
For
so
sure.
much to know, so you never stop learning. You're never gonna reach this point where it's like, all right, I'm done learning. Like
Yeah.
that's not how real estate is. Do you have any tips for new agents?
Get on social media and put yourself out there. I'm talking to myself too, by the way, because I put myself out there, but I come in waves. Sometimes I'm like, all right, here, guys, I'm here. And then sometimes I'm like, don't talk to me. And that's fine. You are literally in control of your paycheck.
Yep.
Depending on how hard you work, controls how much money you make. And if you're willing to put in that work, go on and do it because you're gonna get it back for the most part. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, so social media is definitely a great
that's what I'm
tip.
supposed to. Yeah,
That that was one of the first tips I got. Get on Instagram, get on TikTok, and on
yeah,
Facebook. Social media is the way right now, and it's just it's also free. So
right. And
that
go
can't hurt. We only got a minute left, Jazz. Where can people find you?
Instagram, I am JAngela. Facebook, JasmineAngela. You could find me pretty much on all social apps, even LinkedIn.
I'll drop all your links below. It was so
Yeah,
great talking to you, Jazz.
thank you.
Thanks a lot. Take care. Thanks.
Bye,
Bye.
bye.